more than a year of research and depositions and other things and documents. It has been documented and it is out in the open about a month ago. And we discussed about it in the last meeting. And the categorical decision given out by a panel, topmost professionals in the world, not only in India, in the world, is that no, it does not. The present EVM VVPAT voting system does not comply with democracy principles. Now, I explained in detail, but today I'll just, for new people who also come in, and just briefly summarize what are these democracy principles. Number one is a voter. You see, casting a vote in a democracy is not a joke. It is not voting in a democracy is not a ordinary exercise, neither is a technology exercise. It is transfer of sovereignty. In a democracy, the sovereignty lies with the people, the public, the citizens. And because of a representative nature of our democracy, people transfer their sovereignty for a period of 5 years to their elected representatives. So it is a very, very important. We have not realized it, that the importance of this vote. So this vote needs to comply with the democracy principles of number one. The voter must know that if the machine that is registering his vote has registered the vote correctly as he intended, cast as intended. I want to cast my vote, transfer my sovereignty to candidate this A belonging to this party and with this symbol. So the voter must be sure that the vote has been cast as intended by him or her. That is principle number one. I'm just summarizing it. Principle number two is recorded as cast. You should ensure, you should know that yes, the vote has been recorded as cast to my candidate and the symbol he represents. Now here I will draw a comparison between the paper ballot and the this EVM voting. Paper ballot, you could see it once, twice, thrice before putting your stamp, and after putting your stamp, you can see it 3 times. Your examinability, you are verifying it. In the machine, you can't do that. You are blinded. It's a machine. You don't know what is happening inside. Third cardinal principle is counted as recorded. Has my vote been counted as recorded? So 3 cardinal principles. There in the paper ballot, at least your agents knew. At least you may not be able to see it, but there is a process of some kind of transparency where you know that your vote has been counted as recorded. But in all these, EVM fails because they don't have that system at all. So last time I clearly explained that EVM VVPAT voting, it does not comply with the basic principles of democracy. Today, Kannan will be talking about another dimension because I am not a technology man, so I don't poke into technology much. Kannan is a technology man. He is an electronics engineer, Bits Pilani, and he knows he has done a lot. And the important point is that he has conducted election. He is one person who conducted the election, 2019 parliament election. He conducted it as collector of Dam and Diu, if I remember. You can correct me if I am wrong later. So he has conducted the election. He has gone through the machines threadbare, EVM, VVPAT, and he knows where the defect is. So his principle is that, you know, earlier EVMs, whenever people talked about EVM, criticized EVM, that EVMs can be hacked, EVMs can be sort of rigged. The simple answer from the Election Commission of India was, no, it is not. It is standalone. This is standalone. Microprocessor, one-time processing, nothing can, one-time programmable, nothing can be done. He is completely tearing that theory into pieces because the VVPAT, which was introduced to bring about some semblance of democracy principles, because you can see the slip there for 7 seconds, then you can see the other processes of counting, at least some semblance of democracy principles. He says is the very machine who is sabotaging the whole thing, because there is no standalone. There's no standalone system now, and that is what, of course, he will be talking about. That's his main area of talk today. He will be talking in detail, and of course, we can ask questions and we can have an interaction. So, adding to what Father Jagat Gasper said, Kannan is a rare breed of man, I must say. And as you know, how difficult it is to get into the Indian Administrative Service. Only those two people who aspired for it, who have gone through the process, know. And resigning in a matter of few years on principle of very supreme value. One is the imposition of 320, lifting of 370 in Kashmir. The other was the draconian proposal for Citizens Amendment Act. And he said this: I cannot serve, my conscience does not allow me to serve in a fascist state. Simple as that. And resigns IAS, which is a very difficult decision he took, but he heard his conscience, and after that he has been campaigning, extensively campaigning. He has been traveling throughout the country, and particularly when they at the height of CAA, he was doing it, and along with another colleague of mine, I think he is just 1 or 2 years senior to him, this boy from Tamilnadu, Senthil, he also resigned on almost on the same principles, and both of them have been going length and breadth of the country campaigning against CAA and other kind of draconian things that has been going on. And we have him in our midst. Now he is campaigning on this electoral integrity also as part of this. So we have him with me. Let us hear him. And then whatever questions you have, let us ask and clarify, because without democracy, see, I happen to be the district magistrate and collector of Chandigarh in 1974 to 78, 79, 78, yes. 4 years before, during, and after emergency. And everyone knows that it's an emergency which has destroyed democracy in this country, which is true. I have seen overnight by order issued by the President of India at the incident of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, democracy getting extinguished. But in 1977, people rose and threw this government out, restored democracy. And some of these fellows who are calling themselves leaders now were part of their movement. I know it. I know some of them. I keep miles away from them now. Now they have completely perverted the whole thing, and they have turned democracy down, and they have brought in fascism. And they are doing it blatantly. And in the process, democracy, which I feel is the most precious of all things that our founding fathers gave us, is in severe and grave danger. All of us must come together to see that democracy is rebooted and goes strong, because without democracy, 90% of people, then you will have oligarchy, you will have fascism, you will have complete kind of perverted kind of economy. There will be an apartheid economy. So 80 to 90% will be only crawling. So without democracy, India cannot live. Simple as that. 10%, 15% may enjoy life, but 80 to 85% will be only having a miserable existence, virtually working as slaves, and that is what is happening. The farmers' laws and other laws that is happening place is all because of the extreme deficiency of democracy. So this campaign that we are running, I think this message must spread far and wide. Now let us listen to what Kannan Gopinathan has to say and then deliberate on that. Thank you very much. Kannan, will you take over now?
Yes, sir. Thank you. First of all, thanks to Devasahayam sir and the organizers for inviting me to the session. Am I audible?
Yes, very audible. Yes.
Absolutely. So just to introduce myself, yes, I am from born and brought up initially in the few years in Palakkad and then in Kottayam. Then went to Birla Institute of Mesra for Electrical and Electronics Engineering. From there, I joined Motorola Semiconductors or VLSI Freescale Semiconductors as a VLSI design engineer in Noida. That's where a bit of social activities and we got involved, and then got into civil service as Indian Administrative Service. In fact, married to a girl from Haryana where Devasahayam sir was serving earlier. And then I was in Delhi, 2013 and 14 elections, legislative and parliamentary elections. I was there in Delhi, and then went to Mizoram. After Mizoram, I was in Dadra Nagar Haveli. So I've been collector in Aizawl, capital district of Mizoram, and then I was district magistrate and collector in Dadra Nagar Haveli. And as part being collector, I was also the returning officer here for the 2019 parliamentary elections. So that, and after the elections, of course, certain things that happened. Not exactly per se the abrogation of 370, but of course you have differences with that. But more than that, the way the all kind of emergency provisions were imposed on the population in Jammu and Kashmir without actually even resorting to emergency provisions of the constitution. That I felt was a very dangerous route, because effectively the executive has been given the power to bypass the constitution and do whatever it wish, and there was hardly any check from judiciary, from media, from civil society. And so I felt that silence is not good for that amount of silence is not good for in a democracy. So that was one of the key reason I resigned, because at least one person, if the institutions fail, individuals have to stand up, and even one voice, if it is there, at least I wanted to lend that voice. After that, a couple of months in October, I had, during the 2019 elections, I had raised certain concerns with the Election Commission as part of the training that we had in IIIDEM in Delhi when we were called, and RO training, returning officers training was going on, and certain concerns I had. I'll come to those concerns. But before that, just explaining the chronology that, yeah, I had certain concerns. The commission said, it is not your job, not commission, the officers who were there, they said, it is not your job to, or create all these doubts. Your job is to convince the population as everything is fine. So, yeah, so there nothing happened. Then I came, too close to the election. Then during the commissioning, also again observed certain things, and I raised those doubts to the engineers, but they said, it's already just 10 days to the elections. The main intention was to get the election done and let it be over. And here, none of the concern is about whether it was hacked or not, but certain defective processes that we had. Now, coming to my own position on EVM, VVPAT, till about 2017-18, and in fact, before the 2019, I was a person who vehemently defended the EVM. And because of three reasons. Commission has drilled into everyone, all of us, today I would say wrongly, but we were all believing on one thing, that there are three aspects to EVM that will make it hack proof. It is not possible to hack it. One is the technological security aspect, the other is the process security aspect, and the third is the physical security aspect. The technology security aspect is where the commission argues that it is a one-time programmable chip that the control unit is, that it has, it cannot be reprogrammed. It is a standalone device. It cannot be connected to any other device. It is a very rudimentary technology. It's like a calculator. So you can't hack a calculator because it is a very simple device. So these were the defense that commission gave, that it is a one-time programmable device. It is a rudimentary device. There is not so much hi-fi stuff going on there. You cannot connect it. It's a standalone device. It cannot be connected to an external device. So these were the core arguments on the technology security side. Then came the process security side. The process security was that we have sufficient processes. The commission was also repeatedly asserting that we are not saying it is not electronically be hackable, but we have a combination of checks, this process and physical checks, to go along with the technology security to ensure that it is not hackable. And that was the process checks. The process checks had many. One was that the EVM electronically did not know the name and symbol of the candidates. So if you have voted before the VVPAT introduction, maybe in the previous elections, you would see that in the ballot paper, on top of the ballot paper, a paper is usually pink or white, a paper is pasted on top of the ballot paper. it corresponds to each button. So there will be a blue button on the right side. On towards the left, there will be the paper will be there corresponding to the name and symbol would be there. So you know, as a voter, if you go there on the ballot box, even today, if you're going to any of the voting, the same thing would be there. That okay, I have to go and press the button which is parallel, which is corresponding to the paper, which is printed on the left side of that. So it's just pasting something on top of ballot paper. Nothing was electronically fed to the EVM. And even if you come to the counting stage, you would see that the control unit would give the output as candidate 1. If you press that total and then count that result button, it will show candidate 1, this many votes, candidate 2, this many votes, candidate 3. So machine did not know that who is candidate 1. For the EVM, candidate 1 was just candidate 1. You don't know whether it is BJP, you don't know it's Congress, you don't know DMK, ADMK, it doesn't know. So this was the candidate agnostic part of the EVM, which was a crucial check. The commission used to argue that you can't do any intelligent manipulation beforehand because you don't know who is the candidate, what is the candidate sequence. The candidate sequence is only decided around a couple of weeks before the poll date, when once the election, the nomination is done, scrutiny is done, withdrawal is done, and then a Form 7A is published. So Form 7A, where you actually give the sequence, the name, symbols, and especially the sequence. Who is 1, who is 2, who is 3. This is a very key aspect of it. Now, commission used to make it as a key defense that because you don't know, you can't know upfront as to who are going to be the candidates in your constituency, you cannot pre-program the EVM to do certain things. It's not possible to do it. That was a good defense also, because it doesn't know. You can say vote coming to candidate 1 should go to candidate 3, but you don't know who is candidate 1 and who is candidate 3. So it is effectively, it cannot be an intelligent manipulation. Then came the other process security aspect, which was randomization. So there are 2 stages of randomization as we have. One is the first randomization, wherein it is assigned to the constituencies, which constituency the EVM would go. Like it will come to the district. There could be 10 constituencies, 14 constituencies, 7, whichever in a district, and you will randomly assign those EVMs to whichever constituency it should go. So upfront, before coming to the districts, people don't know where this EVM is going. Then comes the second randomization stage. The second randomization is done to assign, even within the constituency, where each EVM will go. So we don't know that this EVM is going to go to this booth or another booth, even within the constituency. So this stage is done as part of the candidate finalization, and this is done. The second randomization is done, and then only the commissioning was being done. The third part of the process check was something called as mock poll, wherein that is what a lot of political parties and the agents are very aware of, the mock poll process, because they can come and test. They can come and press those buttons and verify as to whether whoever I have pressed is the one which is the actually control unit is showing or not. So they can put each number of votes and ultimately take down on a paper and then verify whether on control unit on the result as to whether it is tallying or not. So this was the mock poll, and mock poll had 3 stages. One was done during the FLC, the first level check. That is when the machines had already come to the district. Second is done mock poll at the time of commissioning. Commissioning means when the candidate is set, in the sense that when on top of that ballot paper, you paste the name and symbol of the thing. That is perfect, and pairing of BU and CU, and then pasting of that ballot unit was called commissioning. So this stage, after this is done, again, another mock poll is done. Around 5% of the EVMs are randomly taken, and 1,000 votes are polled in front of everybody. And 1,000 votes are polled, and it is shown to the political parties as to see, you can verify this. So this is the second part of mock poll. And then the third mock poll, which happens on the day of poll in every booth. Till now, not every machine has been checked, only random 5% has been checked. But on the day of poll, in every booth, in front of the polling agents, the presiding officer is supposed to put 50 votes for various parties, and then satisfy the polling agents as to, yes, whatever you have put is what is actually being shown as in the control unit.
It's
so
7 o'clock.
3 stages of mock polls were being there. So this is the aspect of process security, process check. That is candidate agnostic nature of the EVM, the randomization of the EVMs, and the third, the mock poll, 3-stage mock poll of the EVMs. Then came the physical security aspect. So the physical security aspect had a very clear thing that nobody can touch EVMs. That's a very simple thing. It's a custody protection that we have protected it in a strong room with CCTV, with guns and AK-40s, whatever guns available there, CRPF, all those kind of physical security being provided. Nobody can go and hijack it. Nobody can physically touch the EVM unless allowed by the district administration during the commissioning. So it cannot be touched. So these three arguments were drilled down across the population, across the administration, that due to these three aspects, EVM cannot be hacked. Even if it is hacked, let's say technologically it is prone to be hacked, then the process checks of mock polls, randomization, etc., would ensure, first of all, it cannot be hacked afterwards because there is no physical connectivity allowed. And even if somehow it is done, then it will be caught during the stages like a mock poll and other things. Then this was the pre-VVPAT defense of EVM. And I also believed in that pre-VVPAT defense, because looking at election from the point of democracy principles was something that was not being exposed to a lot of us. We were not even aware of it. We didn't even think of it. We were very clearly looking at it from a custody chain perspective. Custody chain means it is with us. You can trust me since it is with me, and since you trust me, so whatever I say, you should trust that also. That's a very simple, custody chain kind of an election. You trust the election commission, so whatever election commission says should be correct. A simple thing. But that is not meeting the democracy principles. A citizen is not going to be able to verify whatever he did is correct. He has to blindly trust the goodness or the goodwill of the commission. Now, so I have defended it on public platforms in 2017. In fact, long Twitter thread as to why none of the arguments against EVM work. One, why is it foolish to do that, except X, Y, Z, all those things. Then came 2019. And 2019, when I was there for the IIIDEM returning officers meeting, training, they said something very interesting as to VVPAT will print the name and symbol of the candidate during the training. So that suddenly got me that I asked, like, but how does the VVPAT know that what is the name and symbol of the candidate? How does the VVPAT know the name and symbol of the candidate? I pressed button 1. Earlier, we used to never touch anything. So it was just a paper pressed. So if I touch button 1, how does the VVPAT know that button 1 corresponds to so-and-so name and so-and-so symbol of the candidate and to be printed? This was a curious thing that, and if you know any electronic device, something has to be uploaded for it to know. It can be uploaded via wireless, it can be connected through a LAN cable, it can be a serial port, it can be any kind of a communication device, but it needs to be connected and it needs to be uploaded. It cannot otherwise know, and each constituency has its own names and symbols of the candidates. So when I asked this, the immediate response was that the engineers will upload. Engineers will come and the engineers will upload the name and symbols of the candidate into the VVPAT. But then the concern was that that changes the whole security defense angle, the technological security, process security, physical security angle that we had with the pre-VVPAT. Because till now we were saying the EVMs are a standalone device. And in fact, in 2019, in March, the Election Commission gave a press conference with a categoric headline saying that EVMs are a standalone device and it cannot talk to any other device other than a ballot unit, control unit, and a VVPAT. It cannot talk to any other device. It cannot. Technically, it cannot. So this is what the statement that the commission had made. Now, if at any point of time you are uploading something from an outside world to this VVPAT, then it no more is a standalone device. It is getting connected to an external device. And that is where I think my antennas got a little concerned. And then I started looking at, if assuming that it is getting connected, is there a way where I'll check if at all there is a hacking happening? Because I cannot know what is internally happening inside the machine, but do I have any way as a returning officer to know that if there's some kind of a mischief or some kind of a manipulation that is happening? Then during the elections, we observed, how do they upload it? They can upload it only after the candidate sequence is known, because before that, they don't know what to upload. So they have to do it only after candidate sequence is known. Second, candidate sequence and second randomization is done together before the commissioning. Just the second randomization meaning which EVM will go to which booth, Okay, that is one information. Number two, candidate finalization. That means which candidate is coming corresponding to which button or the sequence of the candidate. So these two information are done. And after that, after this information is available, a laptop, because only through a laptop this symbol generation is done. The symbols are uploaded to the VVPAT by connecting through a serial port. It's a physical connection using a wire. And in fact, directions are there from the commission saying that this should be allowed to be brought in inside the commissioning room. So before the VVPAT, the district administration never used to allow any electronic device to be brought in the commissioning. So if you go in, your mobile phones and everything would be asked to be kept out. You can't bring anything inside. Even journalists, nobody can bring anything inside. But now during the commissioning, you are allowing, in fact, specific directions as to laptops and symbol loading units. Laptops and symbol loading units should be allowed inside. And this the Bell or the ECL engineers would bring in. And they brought in my constituency, in fact, they generated the symbols by connecting it to the internet and connecting it to the ECI server. So they went there and they connected took the symbol generation from there, and then they connected it to the symbol loading units. Assume symbol loading units as a USB. Assume it as a USB, and they transferred that information from laptop to those SLUs or USBs, and then they connected that USB to every single VVPAT. Now, if a physical connection is allowed after candidate sequence is known, one, and which that second randomization is done, that means which booth, which EVM is going. Two things, you already know at this stage which button corresponds to which EVM, which candidate. One is BJP, two is Congress, three is DMK, whichever one, you know already at this stage. You are uploading this information to the VVPAT. You also know at this stage as to which EVM is going to which booth. So X booth or Y booth, whichever is favorable to me or not favorable to me, you already know that information. That is the stage at which you are connecting or uploading using an external device, and it is open. Right now the elections would be having in many states. During the commissioning time, you can see it happening right in front of you, using a laptop and symbol loading units, people uploading it to the VVPAT, physical connections. The thing is, nobody asked this to the commission, that then why are you calling it a standalone device? Why are you trying to mislead the public? They are supposed to be honest. They are supposed to be transparent, at least in this term, that whether it is standalone or not. They are outrightly misleading when they are saying it is standalone. It is not standalone. It is connected, and in every election it is connected. Every VVPAT, every EVM is also connected. So two stages. Randomization is now irrelevant because first randomization had already happened much before. Second randomization is also happened. So after both the randomization, now you are connecting an external device. So whatever has happened before that connection is already irrelevant. That process check is irrelevant. The earlier defense that we were having a candidate agnostic EVM is also gone out, because now VVPAT knows that candidate one is so-and-so name and so-and-so symbol. That is the reason why it is able to print. Otherwise, it cannot print. Earlier, when we are having a ballot unit and control unit, button one will go, it will go to candidate one. Machine will not know whether it is BJP or Congress or DMK or ADMK or whichever. Now, as a machine, if you look at it as a system, ballot unit, VVPAT, and the control unit, now the machine knows the moment I press that whether this vote is going to BJP or whether this vote is going to Congress, or that is already known at that point of time to the machine very clearly. That is why how it is able to print it. So candidate agnostic nature gone. Two stages of randomization gone. What we have left, we are left with in the process security aspect is a mock poll. Now, mock poll, first FLC level mock poll is actually useless because that is done much earlier, and the connection is happening after the first FLC is done. So there are only two mock polls left as part of any process security checks. The one is at the time of commissioning, wherein a 5% random EVMs are taken. And second is at the time of polling, where 50 votes are polled in every EVM. So two mock polls are left. Now the difficulty here is I also trusted a bit that this could be a stage where it can be at least caught if at all there is a manipulation. But the thing is, if you look at it from a VVPAT perspective, some of you, I hope, will go and see the commissioning as a party agent or a candidate agent. You can switch it off and switch it on, and VVPAT will tell the number of sessions. So if you switch it off now, and then if you switch it on again, the VVPAT remembers that it has been switched off and it has been switched on, and it's a second session, it's a third session. And then I could get the document from the Bell ECIL manual, etc., where it says yes, it remembers the session. And EVM also, the commission's own document says EVM also has a date and time stamp. That means it knows internally the date, time, session information. So once you have a date, time, session information, you actually don't need anything more. If I know that election is on, let's say April 6th or April 2nd, whatever, this thing, I need not do anything on any other day. All that I would do is I'll only check for a date. If the so-and-so date is so-and-so, then only do anything. Otherwise, don't do anything. It's a very simple check. It can be done in no time. I was under the impression that information is not available, but Commission's own documents, which it is available publicly, says that daytime stamping is done. Commission's own Bell or ECIL's document available on public says that the session information is also known. So with the date, time, and session information, the poll, the mock poll on any other day other than the date of poll is actually useless. Then comes the date of mock poll, the mock poll on the day of poll. That's again a very silly thing that you only do 50. So anything which is prior known to you that I'm going to do only for 50, it can be easily overcome. It doesn't actually make any sense that first 50 votes don't do anything, start with the next 100 or, so that is what any information that is known to me can be, as a potential manipulation or a potential hacker can be easily overcome by just a half a line of code. It is nothing. So this made me a little worried because I am seeing that external device is connected physically to a machine, EVM VVPAT complex, but I don't have a way to know that whether some changes have happened, if at all some changes have happened inside. Is there a way for me to catch it? Is there a way for me to get hold of it using this process security? So process security check is gone. Then the physical security check is there. Physical security is actually no more relevant because our whole point of having physical security was that we will not connect any, will not allow any physical connection to the EVM. But now we are only connecting to every EVM. So it's again, completely irrelevant. The point about technological security aspect came. Technological security aspect was relying on 2-3 things. One was that it is the standalone device, which is gone. It is already connected. VVPAT is connected to an external device. Second, it is one-time programmable. Now again, that is gone because it must have, the information in every constituency. Every time if you have to give the name, upload the symbol is a picture to a computer, to a programmable, to a memory, it has to be programmable memory. You are every election you are doing this. You are uploading this information to the VVPAT. So it has to have a memory wherein this information can be uploaded. So that again, that programmable thing goes. Then the even more concerning part is, at least as I understood, was that the way we designed the VVPAT. So if you go and see the VVPAT EVM complex that 3 devices kept, you have a ballot unit where you press the button. That ballot unit is connected to the VVPAT, which prints the slip. And the VVPAT is then connected to the control unit, which records the vote. That means the vote is traveling from ballot unit where you press, where your act of casting the vote happens. You press. Vote goes from ballot unit, it goes to the VVPAT. And from the VVPAT prints. It doesn't immediately transfer the vote to the control unit. It first prints. It keeps that slip for 7 seconds. And only after the 7th second, it is cut and it comes down, it falls down. Then VVPAT registers that vote into the control unit. So effectively, a vote is casted on the control unit, not by the ballot unit. It is actually cast by the VVPAT. The same VVPAT which was connected earlier to an external device. Now, this is even more, I can understand why Commission must have thought of this design, maybe because we wanted to use the existing ballot unit and control unit. So our existing ballot unit and control unit are only, it could only be connected to each other. So we sort of try to have something in the middle so that ballot unit thinks that it is still communicating to a control unit, and control unit also thinks it is still communicating to a ballot unit. So we have something in the middle which sort of mimics and tells to each other that everything is fine. Ballot unit, you are still communicating through that only. But from a vote point of view, flow point of view, what you are pressing is not actually registering the vote electronically. You press, it goes to VVPAT, it stays somewhere in VVPAT, it prints, it waits for 7 seconds, it falls down. After that, the VVPAT registers it to the control unit. This can be easily checked again in your if somebody is going for a FLC or somebody is going for a mock poll. So when the exact time at which the paper gets cut and it falls down, exact time, if it falls down, if you switch off the VVPAT, the VVPAT switch is accessible to every voter because the VVPAT is kept in the voting compartment only. So you can, it is just behind the VVPAT. You can switch it off. If you switch it off when the vote just gets cut and the slip falls down, then there is an extra slip in the VVPAT, but the vote does not get registered in the control unit. So this is a decoupled thing. You can have an extra slip every time. You can replicate it every single time. That it gets cut, vote will come down. After that, there will be a slip coming that don't count this vote, but nobody knows which vote to be not counted. Then a vote will be registered, vote will not be registered in the control unit. So there is a decoupled device. This again caused an issue because it no more matters what a control unit is, because if I can control the input to a device, why should I worry about what it is, that device is? If I'm able to control the device which puts the vote inside that, which is the VVPAT, I am not bothered about what CU is. I would like to control the input device only. The VVPAT is the input device for a CU, and VVPAT is also the device which shows you the vote, and VVPAT is the device which gets connected to an external device. So now the VU, CU are irrelevant things in that scheme of thing. It's only VU that controls everything, pretty much, if you look at the design, because it is in the middle. It is in the middle of the design. That's why I think VVPAT, why it became an issue, because we did not design VVPAT the way VVPAT should be designed. We did a jugaad with VVPAT. We did not design a VVPAT as per the principles of VVPAT also. We did a jugaad there. Again, we are not doing the auditing also because we are doing a jugaad there. So all three levels we are trying to do an election through a jugaad. So I've come to the technological aspect part. So it has a programmable memory. It has a memory where we are uploading the names and symbols. It also has a printer. It comes down, it gets cut, all those things. It also has a sensor. It also has a timer. It needs to count for 7 seconds. It also has a light, because if you go and look at the VVPAT, a light would only come when the vote is shown there. Otherwise, it will not come. So it has a light. It has a driver. A device, it has an IO port. That is the only way through which you are able to upload those names and symbols onto it. So a device which controls a printer, a light driver, a programmable memory, an IO port, it's not a rudimentary device. It's a fairly decent microcontroller which is controlling it. We don't have the schematics because the commission has never believed in that transparency of those devices. It believes in that security by obscurity principle, that as long as nobody knows, everything is good. Unless you prove it, that kind of a principle. So we don't know, but as a black box. So we used to do, as in VLSI, we used to do a black box analysis. And when we used to do black box analysis, we used to do both best case and a worst case analysis. And if I have to do a worst case analysis of VVPAT, every single time it will fail. Every single time it will fail because the way it is designed to fail. So this technological thing, the technological aspect, as somebody is writing that Tamilians may not understand jugaad. I don't know how, what is a better way for me to express that. It is like some sort of an adjustment mechanism. It's not a systemic thing. Somehow trying to make it work through a suboptimal kind of a design. That's what I mean by jugaad. So yeah, so technological security part is gone. Process security part is gone. Physical security part is gone.
Jugaad in Tamil, cheating through innovation.
Cheating through innovation.
That is the correct translation for jugaad.
Sir. So yeah, so this is and a very poor innovation at that, to be honest. And I think college students would have done a better job at making this design. So this project, that is why my concern with VVPAT came in. And then, so we introduced VVPAT by surrendering all the security aspects of a pre-VVPAT design. The tech, process, physical security of the pre-VVPAT design, we surrendered. That was okay, provided we had brought in the strength of the VVPAT design. So VVPAT is not dependent on all these aspects. VVPAT has come in as almost a mandatory thing along with the electronic voting, because VVPAT assures two things: voter verifiability and audit, an auditable trail. So two things, voter verifiability, and second, an auditable trail. Here also, we did Jugaad. Why Jugaad in the sense of poor innovation, or rather ad hoc kind of a design? Verifiability essentially involves a voter agency. Verifiability means you or me, when I press the vote, I should be able to see that, okay, so-and-so has come, and then accept or reject it. That means agency. I have an agency to say, yes, what I pressed is what is printed. It shouldn't be the case that I pressed, I looked somewhere and already the vote is gone. And let's assume the VVPAT is so programmed that instead of 7 seconds, it is only showing it to you for 1 second, or it is not even showing any second. It just falls down. Okay, just assume that it is so programmed or manipulated when it is connected through an external device that you press the button, and by the time you look at the VVPAT, it's already down. So you don't know what it is. So it is not verifiable. You can maybe switch off the, you can do a lot of things with whatever the design which is there in that. Let's assume any of that. I'm not saying that is the only way to do it, but assume this. So the verifiability angle does not come. And verifiability essentially means voter agency. It could have been done through many ways. Yes or no option. Once it is shown, okay, I say that yes, I agree that this is the vote. No, I reject. I want to, this is not what I want. So that a simple design thing can be done, would have been actually given at least a voter verifiability to the VVPAT. So voter verifiability was not fully designed in our version of the VVPAT. Then came the auditable trail part, the auditing part. There also we did Jugaad or ad hoc, or trying to minimize whatever effort that we want to do. Elections are done in constituencies. Elections are not done in nation. A returning officer gives a certificate of election in each constituency. Let's assume there is a by-election. And every election is an independent event. So assume there is a by-election, and a by-election, there are 200 polling booths. There are many constituencies which will be having a 200 polling booths in an assembly constituency. And in that, what we have done right now is, as per the Supreme Court's direction, earlier it was only 1, now it is 5. We will only verify 5 trails. We should be clear that even this auditing is not at all giving us a 100% solution, because the VVPAT was not verifiable to begin with. So we don't know whether the paper plate that has been printed and come down is correct or not. But assume that it was correct. Now the only way to check whether there has been some manipulation is through an audit. And when we are doing that audit, if we do only 5 in a polling booth of polling stations of having 200, our confidence level is less than 2.5%. Assume for one EVM to be manipulated. If one EVM is manipulated in 200 booths, and if I am checking only 5, my confidence level as a returning officer, when I am signing that document saying that, okay, you are the MP or you are the MLA of this constituency, my confidence level is 2.5% that it has not been manipulated. And that is the confidence level at which we are currently issuing certificates in every constituency, returning election certificates in constituencies. This is also assuming that it is verifiable, which it is not. So this is where I felt the way we designed VVPAT, because we did Jugaad, we wanted to use existing BUs and CUs, we did Jugaad there. The way we designed the VVPAT for its verifiability, we did not want full verifiability to be given to the voter, so we did Jugaad again there. Otherwise, there were multiple options. You could have given that paper cut and slip and given to the person in hand, and he could have put it in a box. So again, the voter agency would have been there. So verifiability, we did Jugaad. And the third part is the auditing. There again, we said, no, we'll take entire election as a single event, national election as a single event, and we'll do sampling accordingly, which is completely statistically, any person who has done basic statistics would tell that that is not correct when elections are independent events that are done in the constituencies. So this is where my concerns with the VVPAT has brought in, because it has surrendered all the security aspects of an EVM. It had brought in some democratic principles of VVPAT without bringing in any of the strengths associated with the verifiability and the auditable part of a VVPAT. And that is why I've been writing multiple times to the commission. I've written once to the commission, all 3 commissioners, and then tweeting it, and journalists have filed an RTI. So this is again a little bit of a, because I have been part, and I've been proud of being part of that election process. So when you write a letter, at least from the election commission, you don't expect a ad hominem or a personal attack. But the way commission responded was that he conducted an election in a constituency which was not very big. And he did not raise this issue in writing to us. So those concerns are not to be discussed. You are being told that a particular door is opened. That there is a door that is opened, a channel that is opened. What is your responsibility as a commission, as a responsible institution in this country? Your responsibility to ask me that, can you show what is the channel, what is the door, so that I can at least fix it, try to fix it. Instead, if the commission's attitude is that, oh no, there is no door there, there is no channel there, who are you to ask this question? Why should you ask this question? It doesn't augur well for the democracy. Number two, if I have to prove that a door is open by stealing, okay, that is another way that commission asks. Okay, you come and show us that it is, you can steal it. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that I'm a good thief. I am saying that I can see the door is open. So you can't ask me to prove that door is open by stealing it. That's a completely foolish way to go about it. That I should have used a harsher word, but that's completely stupid to say that, prove that first it is stolen and then only we will believe that the door is open. And this is not even an issue of one political party or the other. It will be very what do you call, injustice to reduce it to a political battle between a few parties. This issue addresses or concerns to, as sir also said, the larger democratic principles and also the national security. The national security, because we are a strong power in this world. What we decide, what we think, what we say, who our government is, what are their policies, also have an impact on the across the world. A lot of countries would be interested in influencing our elections. A lot of countries would be interested in influencing, however small or big way it is possible. It will be foolish to assume that nobody else is interested in our elections. That is highly short-sighted to think that way. And if at all that is there, how do we respond? We would, as a taxpayer-funded institution, first thing is to be responsible and accountable to the citizen, and to tell that, yes, you have raised the question, this is the answer. You think my answer is complete, my question is completely stupid, silly, then and you don't want to repeat it, that answer again and again, put it out in a suo moto public disclosure, put it out on the website so that everybody knows. Nobody is going to ask that question again. Instead, initially it was responded like this. Second time when they were asked, they said they are going to send it to technical expert committee, where there are 3-4 IIT professors. And it has been more than 1 year, 1.5 years now, when it has been sent to technical expert committee on this channel. I am yet to get any response from them. And multiple journalists have filed RTIs with the commission saying that these concerns are there. And again, their RTIs have not been replied to by the commission. And if people are asking, I should go to the court, I don't have the resource and time to go to the court. I don't intend to do that also. But I know what I'm saying. I can tell it to large number of people. I can try to convince a larger and larger amount of population as possible, and try to put pressure on the commission to answer these questions which are raised without any allegation, without saying that somebody has used this to win elections this way or that way. I think commission thinks that the public trust on it will carry it through. That it can remain silent, commission can remain silent, and it will carry through with that, because public has certain commissioners in the past have been truthful to the job, and there has been a certain trust that has been built in the commission. They think that with that it can be carried, but that's a dangerous game they are playing, very dangerous game, because once the trust is broken, it is not just the trust that is broken on the election commission. The trust gets broken on the democracy itself. Voting is a process through which, as sir said, that it is how we transfer our sovereignty to a certain few individuals. The entire population transfers sovereignty to few individuals. Once that process and the trust is broken, it's a larger crisis that we are facing it, and it will be childish for the commission to ignore it the way it is ignoring it now. Ideally, it should welcome, it should address the concerns and try to improve it. I think that is from my side. I think. If there are any more questions, I'll be happy to take. Sir, that is from my side, sir.
Thank you, Kannan. Very exhaustive and excellent presentation. You have flagged several very, very key points. See, you mentioned about the election commission. Now, to this audience, I would like to say, we have been associated with the election commission when we were in service. we conducted elections. That is a old story. From 2010 onwards, in fact, I initiated this forum for elected integrity, wherein several former chief election commissioners and election commissioners were involved, and senior IAS officials were involved, mainly to defend and protect the election commission. You remember, as soon as the elections are announced and election commission start imposing strict conditions and rules and regulations, the senior politicians used to abuse them like anything. Tamilnadu itself you must have heard of, abusing in worst kind of languages. So Qureshi, the former chief election commissioner, was a junior colleague of mine, is a close friend. When he became chief election commissioner, we jointly, on the civil society side, we started this forum for electoral integrity, basically to defend and protect election commission. I have been one of the staunch votary of the election commission. Now I have become one of the strongest opponent of the election commission, because the last few years I find the election commission has been going down the hill and indulging in deliberate fraud. With a lot of conscience I am using these words, because after hearing Kannan, I know certain background. I don't want to say it openly. Now whatever suspicion I had has been confirmed. From 2015 onwards, up to 2019 parliament election, within the election commission, the fraud has been perpetrated. The fraud that he is mentioning, the VVPAT fraud, the Jumla, the Jugaad that he is talking about has been perpetrated within the election commission. That is why they are not responding any of his questions. They are not responding to any of these points, and they are also not responding to the kind of report that we have brought in, because of this background only, we have taken a lot of time to put in the top, one of the top post international panel in the world. I don't think anybody can beat that panel. Now that panel has come out with this report, and it was submitted 1 month ago to the election commission. They have not even uttered a word in defense thereof. So today we are in a situation, the election commission is losing credibility very fast, and as in the recent times, I am a very limited presence in the social media, but I myself see so many postings coming in the social media expressing complete lack of confidence in the election commission, expressing the total lack of confidence in the electronic voting machine. Now, having said that, I would like to seek one clarification, one question before opening up to the House, to Kannan. With respect to the present election schedule, which was announced yesterday. Now, you know, a peculiar schedule. Earlier also we have gone to the schedule and we have criticized it, we have raised the issues, but election commission seem to be pushing it in. They are ramming it in with vengeance. So this election, what they have done is 8-phase election in West Bengal. 8-phase. They're talking about one nation, one election, and now it's going to one state, 8 elections. Now that is one point. Now coming to our own state, Tamilnadu and Kerala, they are conducting the election on April 6th. Counting is on May 2nd. Okay, nearly 1 month. Why the hell should you hold the election on April 6th? Why? And put it in the storage for nearly a month. Why? Absolutely. See, if Bengal has got a problem, law and order problem, you are doing it 8 times. That's also foolish. You should do it 3 or 4 sessions and be done with that. Okay, I am not going into that because I don't know much about Bengal. Tamil Nadu, I know. Kerala, I know. We are doing it in single phase because we are not expecting any major law and order problem. Why don't we do it in just 2 days before the counting? And now I want to ask Kannan, is there any link between this VVPAT kind of manipulation and also the long storage? Can manipulation be done during this long storage without physically gaining access or with physically gaining access? That is a doubt which has gone into the mind of a lot of people. Myself received a lot of this social media messages. This doubt has already been generated in a big way in Tamil Nadu. What is the actual reality on this?
Sir, actually, I haven't, I'll be very honest, I haven't thought that whether while it is kept in the storage, because it is not connected with each other. It is kept as a separate devices and kept in the strong room. So I'm not very sure that much can be done at that point, but it need not be even done at that point, because once you have the access before itself, at the time of voting itself, it can be as an input to the CU, it can be done. But I don't know. I haven't thought about it, so I'll not comment. But on the Bengal part, I would like to comment is that, sir, in one district, I heard that in single district, the election is done in 3 phases.
Yes.
And I think there cannot be a more
24 Parganas. Yes.
There cannot be a more worse indictment on that district administration than this, that they don't trust at least a district to have an election in one phase, and you need 3 phases to conduct elections within one district. That if commission is not having that much trust, I think it has a lot of, it says a lot of things. But anyway, the phases have a lot many other ways to decide.
But this 1 month storage, because it is raised a lot of doubts in the minds of the people. That's why I'm asking this question. Why is it this 1 month storage?
I don't know, sir. Why? Means I agree with you that it doesn't make any sense. If at all, if you are going for a single phase election, you can go towards the end of the election phase, yes, and get it done with. There is no reason to have an election so early and keep it for 1 month with everybody in limbo. There is no reason to do that, and it will also raise doubts. And I think the commission is also should be aware of the fact that it will raise votes. It will raise doubts. But if you're asking me how it can help in a particular manipulation, that I'm not in a position to answer right now, sir. I don't know that.
Okay, you think it over and then we'll.
Yes.
Father, now you take over the question and answer.
Yeah, thank you very, very much, Mr. Kannan Gopinathan. It was amazing. If only you can provide an illustrated presentation another day, it will be more very, very exciting, and you should do that. And someone was even asking that an illustrated presentation that can be translated into all the languages of India and presented to people. Probably should seriously consider that serious request from a very concerned participant who sent me a private message. It's so nice that it should reach all people in all languages. So hopefully you can do an illustrated presentation how the VVPAT can, you said, there cannot be a better talk about this particular subject. Thank you very much. And those who are here at the peak of it, 150, we are just a fledgling group. Hope we will increase the number in the coming days. Shall we take just 30 seconds to give a fantastic round of applause to Kannan sir here. Nalla oru karavali kudukalangala. Clap. CC podlam ellarum CC. Yeah. One for your servant leadership, sir. Another one for your courage of conviction, and also to give up the so-called outwardly prestigious position for the sake of your convictions. We are proud of you, sir. And we will take now, for 30 seconds for all. Yeah, I'm glad that many are giving you claps, and thank you. In the meanwhile, you clap பண்ணிட்டே இருங்க. நம்ம கேள்விக்கு போலாம். PCR, but all questions have to be within 30 seconds. இங்க வந்து கருத்து சொல்ல வராதீங்க. Questions have to be within 30 seconds, and all, so that we can take more questions. And normally we keep to time 1.5 hours maximum. So by 8 o'clock we should conclude. So PCR Suresh, your question within 30 seconds. And before I'm in Madurai, so connectivity is a problem here. So if ever I lose my connectivity or I go down, I would ask Bhuvana from the United States to stand by and moderate the question answer session. I hope Bhuvana, you heard it. Please send me a message. You heard it. Yes, PCR, go ahead.
Thank you, Father. Thank you for organizing this call. Very useful. And congrats to Kannan to be the single voice or the lone voice in the desert. I think my question was partly asked by Mr. Devasahayam, but I was hoping to insist on counting the VVPATs, the audit. I was hoping to go to the courts and insist on 30%, but it looks like even that is not going to give us reasonable assurance that nothing has been manipulated. Mr. Kannan Gopinathan?
Yeah, see, the audit comes after the verifiability. The first thing is to ensure that VVPAT is redesigned, that will give a full verifiability, and then go for a constituency-wise constituency-wise requirement for a statistical audit. Even if there is full verifiability at the voting time, then you can, that is my assessment, that you can go for a statistical auditing at the constituency if at all you want to reduce time. But reducing time is a very silly argument, that there is nothing that an MP or MLA is going to do in that half a day that he gets extra as an MLA or MP. Rather, the correctness of the election, the accuracy and the correctness of the election is much more important than the speed with which the election is announced. But if full verifiability is ensured, be it through a device that is redesigned, the VVPAT is redesigned to ensure a full verifiability, and then if you go for a auditing which is specific to the requirement at the constituency, number of booths which are there, the margin which is there, etc., then you can come to a conclusion as to certain number of EVMs needs to be done, and that is one scientific way to go about it. If at all somebody is planning to go to Supreme Court, please take both the verifiability aspect and also the audit trail aspect. Without the one and the other, it actually doesn't give a solution, because you have surrendered everything with respect to EVM. EVM, we should now assume that everything is hacked. I'm not saying hacked in the sense it proved to me that is hacked, but that should be the assumption to begin with when you do a worst case analysis, that assume that it is all gone. Now I have to ensure that the outcome is not changed. How do I do that? For that, I need to ensure their verifiability. I need to ensure auditability.
Just an intervention on this. Somebody is wanting to go to the Supreme Court. Please don't waste your precious time and money. We went to the Supreme Court in 2018 precisely with the demand of 30%. And it was taken up by this great Ranjan Gogoi. And I don't want to go into great details about this. Then the argument came in the early part of 2019 before the elections. Then the political parties joined. 21 political parties joined. They sought 50%. And this Ranjan Gogoi and company disposed of the matter like a kangaroo court. Katta Panchayat Panni, from 1 they made it to 5, which Kannan has mentioned. So for heaven's sake, please don't waste any money or time. Go to the Supreme Court or any High Court at this present point of time. It is a public, that's why only after all this, knocking all the doors, let me tell you, we knocked at the door of the Election Commission of India, we knocked at the door of the government, we knocked at the door of the President of India, we knocked at the door of the Supreme Court of India, then finally decided, people, we have to go to the people. That's why we set up this Citizens Commission and we have come out with this report. Using this report, I think there must be a public movement. Please don't waste your time, and because they don't want to understand, they don't have the stamina, they don't have the knowledge, and they will not even entertain affidavits even filed by people, even by people like Kannan or even better experts like IIT people, other people. Please don't waste your time. Yeah, next question.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And I'll invite Captain Srikanth now. Next is Dheeraj. But with that, inviting Dheeraj, I would ask Bhuvana from the United States to moderate this question answer session. I'll be available here nevertheless. Bhuvana to take over after Mr. Captain Srikanth asks the question.
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Captain Srikanth from Mumbai. Thanks for organizing this lovely meeting. I have a question like why nobody took the challenge when the commission was open to prove that EVM is wrong? Second, my service question is why all civil servants, will they be liable for prosecution for be a part of the scam of the election? Third is, what is the alternate solution? Can we have a parallel website where people openly tell or write, okay, this is the party, I have voted it, and make it public so that there will not be anything. Of course, this may not be a constitutional one, but can it be done that way, the parallel election things? Thank you.
Okay, the first one is again the hackathon that the commission gave in 2017. There are multiple issues with the hackathon, but even then, hackathon is normally organized by organizations as an assistance to them, not as a challenge, prove it. It is like an assistance where you invite people to come and show us what are the vulnerabilities in our design. That is normally how a hackathon the principle is. But here the commission is like, you prove that you can hack. come here and prove it. Now we have said it cannot, and then it gives all sort of conditions. First of all, it was without the VVPAT thing. The physical connectivity was not given, access was not given. So they said that nobody can touch the EVM. Without, you have to stay out of this particular area, and from there you try to show us that it can be hacked. That hackathon has no relevance, because once you are connecting an external device directly to the through a serial port, and when you are actually having a hackathon, you are saying nobody can come anywhere near me. Those two are completely two different conditions when a hackathon is done. Second thing is that this assumption that the security through obscurity suggestion, that we only select people, or the commission's assumption is that nobody knows. Nobody knows, so people will not be able to hack. That's a wrong assumption. You already know that some people know. That's how you made this design, and those people might have retired. Some new people would have come, new teams would have come. Thousands of people would know by now that what is there in the design, what is there in the design, what is there in the software, what is. And in fact, there was a tender, 2017 tender on which was there on the website of Bell e-procurement site, when the Bell was asking for PCBs, the printed circuit boards of SLUs, simple loading units, CU, BU, etc. That means it was doing an open tender for a PCB, not only chips, it was even doing for printed circuit boards. And the day I put this out on the social media, the same day they took that link down. But of course, before I had put it on the social media, I had archived that link. So the link is still accessible. But why is the commission not telling? If at all they are trying to purchase it from different parties, private parties, let's assume the PCB chips, we know it is coming from somewhere else. But if it is taking PCBs also from private parties, we have a right to know where it is coming from. It shouldn't be a secret. Again, if it is design is available to some, and if you're asking others to do a hackathon without that information, then it is not it's not a level playing field. So either commission should tell that it is unhackable, so we have no issue. This is the design, this is the software, go play with it. If at all you can do it, come back to us, we'll be, prove it to us. Or it can tell it may be hacked, that is why we want to keep it a secret. It cannot take both the arguments. Commission says it is unhackable, then people say, okay, then you make it, give it to us. Anyway, it is unhackable, so nothing can be done even if it is transparent. Then commission will say, no, but if you make it transparent, then it will become vulnerable. So both the things cannot go together, right? Either it is vulnerable or it is unhackable. It cannot go both. So this is the issue with the hackathon challenge that the commission did. It was more of a challenge in your face. Do come and show it, kind of a thing. That's not, again, how a responsible institution should work. It should be asking assistance as to how this process can be improved for betterment. So hackathon, if at all needs to be done again, it should be done with a design that is made transparently available. Number two, physical connectivity to the device should be allowed, because now it is being allowed to a device physical connection after the candidate finalization and second randomization is done. The civil servants, see, I conducted an election, 2019 election. I have been part of 13-14 elections very actively, means almost that I am able to speak all this without looking at any reference. Tells the experience or the amount of drilling I had to do with respect to the election. And the concern is when it comes to somebody connecting a USB to a laptop, you cannot know as to only whether songs are getting copied, or is he also putting some in the background, if he's also saving some games, or is he putting some malware. We don't know. We only know that something is connected. What the computer shows that, okay, songs are being copied. We don't know what is going in the background. It's very normal. Everybody knows that once you connect it to external device, you don't know, unless you get a trace out, you take all that information, keep it in outside, you don't know what kind of a data transfer would have happened there. And that is anyway commission is not allowing to do. So civil servants are also trusting. It's just like the public. We have the certain questions, but generally when it comes with an authority, like how I did 2019, I had the doubts, I raised, commission said, this is not what you should do. You should build trust in the people, conduct the election well. Okay, I did, got a lot of this thing over. Whether they should be held liable, criminally liable for conducting elections, I beg to differ. But yes, if they share the same doubts, I think they should come out. They should tell that yes, there are. And in fact, one of my colleague in the service had written that he agrees to certain part of what my concerns are, even though he had some concerns with respect to auditing. On the third part, how do we go about it? How do we, I don't agree, there is a secrecy part to voting. That is because especially in rural areas, etc., the candidates ask for a, in every booth they check, okay, I'm supposed to get 10 votes, 100 votes here, I'm supposed to get this much votes here. And they would also like to verify then later that, okay, if you have a thing, come and show. But a voter is not only, Indian society is not that very open as to, you can openly tell that I'm going to vote for X and I'm going to actually go for vote for X. That's not the case. In fact, in many elections, a voter take money from or whatever from multiple sources and then go and vote for whatever he or she feels like. So there is a certain concern with respect to the whether somebody can put it there. There can be other ways. One of the way, I think, to go back to Supreme Court would be to first ask this question to the Commission as to, is EVM still a standalone device? Because the entire defense of Commission and Supreme Court was on this, that EVM is a standalone device. The moment Commission is forced to answer this simple thing, no, it is connected to an external laptop, it is connected to a laptop, which anybody brings. The moment it comes, the whole scenario changes. The entire scenario changes with respect to EVM security. Now you cannot be trusting EVM, whatever the way it said to the Supreme Court. So if at all we have to go to this straight,
Kannan, there are many questions. There are many questions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Your opportunity.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Kannan. Next is Mr. Dheeraj. You can ask your question. Mr. Dheeraj? Irkingla? Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you. Very informative session, Kannan sir. I would like to ask that why not much voice raised against EVM, or no support we are getting against EVM? As our defense ministry site or political party sites can be hacked, but EVM not, they are saying. In fact, in developed countries, all the elections has been done on the ballot paper. So why not in India? And sir said that don't waste your time by going to the Supreme Court. Then what will be the solution? Is that we must approach international court? So I think a large movement on EVM must start like farmer movement.
I think one reason why people are worried about
let me respond to this, because I have gone through the mill. You see, unfortunately, our democratic institutions have completely and totally collapsed. See, the institutional integrity is completely gone, particularly in the last 5-6 years. Even the integrity of the judicial institutions have gone. Now the question is, unless the integrity is there, unless you have faith in the institutions, going there will be waste of time. You see, we went to the Supreme Court with tremendous amount of, this is a very important question. So I'll have to answer this because I've gone through the mill. Tremendous amount of preparations. We started the process, the EVV, but I had my own doubt about the VVPAT. So we have been insisting that there must be some kind of mechanism through which the VVPAT can be made an effective instrument of democracy principles. That is where it started. So after they decided that every EVM will have VVPAT in 2019 election, we commenced our sojourn. In February 2018, the then election commissioner issued an order that only one VVPAT should be tested, counted in each assembly constituency. In a state like Tamilnadu, we have about 240 to 250 booths. After this, they want to count only one. From there, our movement started. We sent representation to the election commission, did not respond at all. Then we have a constitutional contact group of civil servants, former civil servants. Now we are about 190 members. Many eminent former IAS officers are there, many eminent Indian Foreign Service, Indian Police Service. We, as a group, held a very well attended seminar in Delhi, discussing threadbare. Election Commission was represented by the technical chief, Professor Rajat Umara. The presented over by a former chief election commissioner. I made the presentation. They made the presentation. It was discussed in great detail. Finally, that the election commissioner at that time, chief election commissioner at that time, Rawat, he appreciated it. We had series of discussions. But the day he resigned in December 2018, the whole thing collapsed. As I said earlier, within the election commission, the fraud is being perpetrated. I don't want to mention the name. I know I have mentioned the name also. I've written articles also, but there is no response. So they have been doing it in a purposeful manner so that a particular party gets elected again and again. So in spite of the constitutional conduct group of civil servants, all of us are much senior to the present election commissioners. Some of them have worked under us. In spite of that, no response. Forget about they're not responding to Kannan. They did not respond to about the representation given to them by more than 100 former IAS officers did not respond because they have no merit in them. They don't have merit to defend. So only after that we moved to the Supreme Court. After a lot of research, lot of documentation, we went to the Supreme Court and Supreme Court disposes it off. And election commission, this particular officer in the election commissioner filed false affidavit. False affidavit. Perjury. In spite of all that, when the argument took place in the early part of 2019, and even as the election process started, the Supreme Court disposed it off as like a kangaroo court. Did not even listen to the listen to the arguments put up by the senior. They did not even listen. What I am trying to say is, we are in a fascist state. With lot of pain, I am telling you, we are in a fascist state where all democratic institutions have collapsed. So that's why I said I use the word waste of time and energy and money. Only public movement make it possible. Somebody asked why there is no. See, we brought this report more than a month ago. We released it in Chennai. We released it in Calcutta, both election going states on 30th of last month. Yes, there was some media coverage. After that, nobody has followed it up. Mainstream media has been ordered to hush it up. They're not even mentioning it. This report by the international top brains of the international panel. So what I'm trying to say is a concerted action is going on so that in a fascist state, election is only a farce. They are reducing the election into a farce. It has again happened in Bihar. We know it. It may again happen now. It's only a concerted public movement that can make it possible. Please do not waste your time and energy on the Supreme Court because they have already made up their mind, and successfully the Supreme Court remain the same. At least for the next few years, Supreme Court remain the same, and High Courts cannot entertain it. The moment you go to the High Court, it has already happened in Madras High Court last week. Election Commission advocate comes, he shows the Kangaroo Court, Katta Panchayat order of the Supreme Court. Sir, this has already been disposed of by the Supreme Court, sir. That's the end of it. So please, only let us build up with all these webinars, seminars, is build up a public movement. Let me be very categorical about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have.
Sorry, I'll just add one point as to he asked why that the people are not coming out. I think one is because the bad experiences people try to keep with this ballot paper, which they had at the time of booth stuffing or stuffing, booth capturing, etc. So, but that period has gone now. In fact, in almost all the booths, we even have webcams, live webcams already there, even today, even with the EVM available. So, and you have micro observers, all sort of mechanisms, institutional mechanism, non-technology and technological institutional mechanisms that are already in place. But people's mind, because of the experiences, certain instances of booth capturing, ballot stuffing, etc., they still say EVM is much better than what used to happen before. That is one inertia that we have gone ahead. Now, why should we? And people try to link there are some issues with EVM to conspiracy theories. That is one way of people also say there is nobody in moon, nobody has gone to moon. So it becomes a very easy way to dismiss the whole argument without going into the details of it. It's just a conspiracy theory. What more? The third thing is, every time the political parties especially come into this, they make it result oriented. If somebody has won in Rajasthan, then EVM is fine. If somebody has won in 2019 Lok Sabha election, then EVM is not good. That kind of a result oriented concern. Whereas I think the whole discussion was nothing to do with results. Results could be anything. the concerns on the EVMs have to do with the processes associated with the EVM, the security associated with the, and the democratic principles that the voting process should adhere to. It has nothing to do with results. And once the processes are done, we are okay. I think this point also needs to be addressed.
Thank you, sir. We will continue this discussion in the next meeting if you have time. We have 4 or 5 people who are lined up to ask questions. Unfortunately, we don't have time to take on those questions. Please send in your questions so that we can get you clarifications. Thank you for an excellent presentation, Mr. Kannan and Mr. Devasahayam. You've been very helpful in making us understand what exactly is going on, especially people like me who are not tech savvy, to understand what could be the compromises that could have taken place. I thank you everybody for joining us today. We have a month before the elections. We should have started these discussions long ago, but it's not late now. So let's keep the discussions going and let's come up with some goals to see how we can contribute to addressing some of these issues. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Have a good day if you're in other zones. Thank you again. Goodbye.
Thank you. All the best.